Welcome to Hanging Out with the Monkey, the official podcast of OddsMonkey, the #1 match betting service in the world. So, guys, thanks for joining us again. Before we get into the crux of the podcast, we'd just like to bring this little treat again we've got for our loyal listeners. If you haven't had the chance to sign up for OddsMonkey Premium yet, then we're giving you a great chance here. You can start making profits straight away. We've got a nice little sign-up offer for you here for the premium. You can get 10 full days for just £1. When you go to checkout, if you use the code PODOFFER, that's PODOFFER, you'll get 10 days full access for just £1. So when we're talking through all these offers and you're thinking you haven't seen that, you're not used to it, give it a go. Why not? Just £1 for 10 days. So please give it a try. So joining me today, again, we've got a full house, which is great. We've got Ricky and Steve from OddsMonkey.
Hiya.
Hello.
And Phil from Tricky Bet.
Hi.
So welcome back, guys. We've got a bit of a football special this time around. We're going to be looking at all things football coming up. We've got the Champions League. We've got Nations League. We've got the Women's World Cup coming up. We have the Copa America as well. We won't be touching too much on that one. We're going to have a quick look at some summer transfers as well. So, right, where to begin? Let's look at the big one, the biggest club game in world football, and it's a Champions League final. An all-English affair as Liverpool take on Tottenham in the wonderful Wanda Metropolitano in Madrid. And it's the second all-English affair we've had, just over 10 years ago since we had Chelsea Man U in Moscow when that went to penalties. And one of us four will be lucky enough to be in the Spanish capital. And that's going to be you, Rick, isn't it? You're looking forward to your trip abroad, Rick?
Yeah, nerves are getting there at the minute, yeah. But set off tomorrow morning, be in Madrid for the day, and then the match on the night. So yeah, it's only one way I'm ultimately going to enjoy it, and that's if we win. But yeah, the butterflies are kicking in at the minute.
It sounds great, doesn't it? So we'll come to the odds and that in the game, and we'll get a bit more opinion from you, Rick, on it. But let's have a look at a few offers. Jump over to you, Steve. Obviously, there's quite a few offers out there, and even a few more coming online as we speak. What's the one that grabs your attention at the moment?
Well, one I've just spotted this morning, come out from Genting Bet, and I imagine the game is not going to finish 0-0. Could be famous last words. But if it doesn't, then at Genting Bet, all you need to do is place a £10 pre-match bet at odds of 1-2 or greater. And then for each goal that's scored, you'll get a £1 free bet in your account. So it's nice, just a nice, really easy one. And, you know, if the game finishes 3-2, you're going to get a £5 free bet. So it's just a quick, easy one to do.
Nice. And Rick, what are you encouraging people to look at this morning?
Yeah, there's quite a few out there, but I'll pick a Liverpool-themed one. Paddy Power, and offering a £10 refund on certain markets if Mane scores in the match. So if you can back and lay first, last, anytime goal score or correct score, and that happens to lose and Mane scores in the match, you get a £10 refund.
And Phil, obviously, we're going to talk about this a little bit. The 2-up offer is still there at the moment. We know it's definitely on the Champions League final. Again, remind everyone at home of that one.
Yeah, so I'm sure everybody knows about 2-up offer now, and this is possibly the last game that we're going to see this for a while. But you're going to back and lay your selection, Tottenham or Liverpool, and if either of them go 2-up in the game, you'll be paid as a winner immediately. Now, this can lead to some big wins if there's a turnaround in the game. Let's say Liverpool go 2-0 up, and then Bet365 will pay out, and then Tottenham come back to win that game. It means you will have won at Bet365, and your exchange bet will win as well. And on OddsMonkey, there are guides on how you can trade out in-game to take, profit immediately once a team goes 2-up, or you can just let them run and see if you get a big win.
Yeah, that's great. So as with every offer, isn't it, guys? There's loads of guides and offers on there. And I was going to say, Ricky, Steve, there's obviously going to be quite a few in-game offers, especially for the final. Do you have, Ricky, when you're doing these, obviously the guys need to be careful, don't wait in game. They need to make sure they need to read the rules with them.
Yeah, if there are any offers come up that's in play, for those that aren't as experienced, then you wait till half time when there's no chance of anything happening that's going to drastically change any odds. So anything that is involving any in-play action where you need to place any bets, just hold out till half time and then place them.
Cool. And as we said, Steve, at the moment, the 2-up, which is the Golden Goose, are much better at the minute. It's due to end on June the 1st on Saturday. Obviously, we've got the Nations League and the Women's World Cup. I know you're not too confident about them rolling it out for these competitions in the summer.
No, not especially. I think this will be one that will disappear and then hopefully re-emerge when the Winter Leagues start kicking again in August. If they do decide to roll it out and do something similar with the Women's World Cup of the Nations League, then great. But I can't really see it, especially not for the Nations League, because it's only, there's only a few matches there anyway. But they're sort of using the 2-up style offer on other sports, such as at the minute the French Open. If your player goes 2 sets up and then capitulates, you can get your wins that way, and that'll probably be rolled out to Wimbledon and things like that as well. So if not the football, similar sort of style on other sports.
Yeah, and we've got the Cricket World Cup, haven't we, going on and stuff, and there's darts coming up as well, which we discussed on the last podcast, if you want to give that a listen. But moving on, as Steve, you mentioned the Nations League. For me, I'm not so. I'm in two minds about the Nations League. I can't decide if it's a big tournament or not, and I don't know whether we'd be giving it so much press if England weren't there. It's a strange one. Looking ahead to this, Steve, obviously we haven't got too many offers yet, but we imagine there'll be a few come online, match bet, not just 2-up, but match betting wise. But anything with England, you're going to get a few offers on the table, aren't you?
Yeah, there's going to be plenty of sort of in-play offers. There'll be plenty of pre-match offers. I'm sure Betfred will drop a few. Bet 10, get £5 free.
And midweek night games as well. So you're going to get those in-play ones, aren't you? Definitely.
Yeah, without a doubt. And there'll be goal scorer specials, I'm pretty sure, around Harry Kane, like Paddy Power refunds and that type of ilk. There'll certainly be things around the England matches, maybe not so much against, Portugal against Switzerland, but on England, Holland, there should be plenty.
Yeah, but I just forgot, back to the Champions League. We forgot to do our picks, didn't we, guys? Let's hitch a ride back to Madrid with Ricky. Let's leave Ricky to last, shall we? Because we already know. We'll see how many things he's going to win by. Phil, go on. Phil, the bookmakers really are convinced this is a Liverpool win. They really are heavily in favour of Liverpool. Is any bets you like out there? Are you fully in the Liverpool camp?
They should do it, yeah. It's just whether they can cope with the pressure on the night. I mean, Tottenham weren't expected to get there, and I think they came through some big games in the early rounds, probably because they weren't expected to win, and they just went out and relaxed and played the football. So the same could happen tonight. In the final. So I don't know. I might go for Tottenham just to mix it up a bit, because I think everybody's going to think Liverpool's going to
win. Steve, obviously, you'd love to have seen your boys there, Man City, not to be this year.
Yeah.
You siding with Liverpool here if you had to?
I'm quite happy to have been beaten by the eventual winners of the tournament. So my money will be on Tottenham double chance, which you can get at just shy of evens at Marathon Bet, which I think's not a bad punt. Ultimately, they may draw and go on to lose, but I think Tottenham, the way they played at Liverpool at Anfield in the last league game, I think they've obviously got it within them to put a stiff challenge up, really.
Yeah, it's hard not to agree. I think the odds are just too generous for Tottenham. And it's weird when you look back at Tottenham's progress. They almost went out the group stage. I think if Inter had beaten PSV, they'd have gone out, and then they came through against. I just think Tottenham's name might be on the trophy, really. But given that, I just think the odds are too generous. I think it'd be a cracking game. I really do. I think it could be like a 3-2 or something, which probably goes so. But I'm sure you don't want a really high scoring game for both teams. You want a nice solid 3-0 at half time, Rick. Is that right?
I'll take anything as long as Liverpool win it, whatever that means. Whether it's a boring 1-0, whether it's the penalties, whatever. But
how confident are you, Rick?
I think the odds are too short on Liverpool. I do think we will win, but from a betting point of view, then I think we are too short, and the value perhaps lies with Tottenham at about 9-5. I think currently in the 9-2 to lift the trophy. But I think, as you mentioned before, I do think there'll be goals, and I think the over 2.5 at 10 to 11. Best price we bet for, I think, at the minute. Is a good bet. So that covers, doesn't matter who wins then, does it? In terms of from a betting point of view, over 2.5 goals at 10 to 11 would probably be where I'd go from a punching point of view.
Yeah, I think Harry Kane anytime at 9 to 5 looks pretty good. Do we all think Harry Kane will play, Rick? Steve, think he should start, shouldn't
he? Yeah.
Think he'll start, Steve?
Yeah, he probably will, but I don't think they should. That's a different opinion.
Yeah, Phil,
I think he's played better without him recently.
Yeah, I think he'll struggle not to. I mean, why wouldn't they start him?
Yeah, it's one of them you have to. When you've got one of the greatest strikers in the world, you have to play him, don't you? Especially when the alternative might be Fernando Llorente. And obviously, speaking of Harry Kane, if he goes on and proves his fitness, he's going to be a big excuse as to why England might win the Nations League. But interestingly, the betting has changed massively on the Nations League. I must admit, I hadn't had a look at the Nations League in a few weeks, guys, but Portugal suddenly favourites for this. Do we think that's purely because England and Holland are playing each other, and we presume Portugal will beat Switzerland? Is that why they're favourites?
100%. That's why you've got them favourites at the minute. They've got the easier tie against Switzerland, but whoever wins the England-Netherlands match will become favourites for the final.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, yeah, it's just purely that Portugal got the easier tie in the semi-final at the minute, and they're pretty much short odds on to go through.
Yeah, and Steve, also it's with the Dutch are really in the last 6 months with the progress of Ajax, and hence the likes of De Ligt and De Jong. Obviously, Netherlands odds have come in as well, so that means England's have drifted a bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a look at the recent form of both teams, and sort of the Holland's recent form has been fairly mixed, with some good results sprinkled in. But, England has just been solid. We just seem to win every game we play. Not that the competition's always the strongest we're up against. But I think for me, the Swiss are the dark horses in this. I mean, they've won sort of 2 of the last 3 internationals, including smashing Belgium 5-2 in November. They've got something about them.
Yeah,
so
you get 7 to 8 to 7, 8, even 8 to 1 places. So yeah, as I said, for the listeners who don't know, obviously it's the 4 finalists. England play Holland in one semi-final, Portugal play Switzerland in the other, and then the winners of each play in the final on the weekend. So it's over within 5 days. So if only all tournaments could be like this, it makes it a bit easier, doesn't it, Phil? I know we were looking at a Cricket World Cup lasting about 7 weeks, which didn't appeal to us. But let's go to you first, Phil, for your pick. Do you think England a good value? Netherlands, where would you be looking there for the Nations League, or who do you think will win?
I think the best value is with Holland, but I just don't know how seriously the other teams are going to take this. I think England are going to take it seriously because they think they can win it, and it's like a tournament England can win. For the players, I think they really want that. Where the other countries, I don't know if they're that bothered about this.
I think it does affect the seeding, doesn't it? And Holland have suffered quite a bit in the last few draws. They've been getting tough groups. So I think it does have. I think that's why the Nations League is working, because it does actually impact on the future, isn't it? But
it's come at a weird time. Like, all the players are going on holiday and stuff, and then they just they have to get this over with before they can have the break. So it's like.
So you're going for Holland, Phil?
No, I think Holland are the best value bet, looking at the odds, but I think England will win it.
Right. I don't think England will win. I think the record in the Southgate is hugely flattering. I think the one hard game they've had was the semi-final, which they lost miserably. And so I think Holland will beat England, and I think I might go favourites. I think Portugal might win it on home soil as well. Ricky, who would you pick for Nations League B?
Holland must be. Yeah, agree with Phil what he was saying with the value. I think they are the value. They're getting back to where they used to be. They've got something to prove as well after being very poor previously. So I think they are going to be taking it seriously as well. So currently 3-1. Holland would be where I would be putting the money down.
And would you be going with the Swiss for the bet, Steve, or do you think
Yeah, why not?
England will come in.
I'm going to go for a Switzerland England final. Obviously, hope England win, but yeah, I'll go with Switzerland. I think there's good value on that, and I just fancy them to give Portugal a test. I might be totally wrong. They might get battered 4-0. Who knows?
I'm sure you're not. But will we see an English victory this summer in the footballing world? Well, there's a big chance over in France at the Women's Football World Cup, which starts early in June. And again, as we discussed, Rick, we're hoping for a few offers on here. Obviously, the 2-up would be our wish and our real hope for this tournament. But if England do well as we hope, especially in the early stages, you'd imagine there could be a few interesting ones come up on this.
You would hope so. I'm pretty similar to what Steve was saying earlier. There'll be similar offers around for that, and the longer England get through the tournament, you'd hope the offers will continue. Being Women's World Cup as well, it's a bit of an unknown territory in terms of offers as well, but hopefully it'll be taken seriously as well with the bookmakers, and we'll get some decent offers come through.
Yeah, because obviously with the amount of teams in there, we would love the 2-up to be there. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that. And so let's have a quick look at our picks here, guys. Obviously, none of us are women's football experts, but I'm going to again go to Holland here because last England national watch, I'm sure it was against Holland when Holland beat them in one of the I think it was the Europeans recently. So I think they're great value at 16-1. I really do. Probably shows how little I know about women's football, but I'll go with them. Steve, give you next pick. Who are you fancying here? Obviously, we've got USA favourites at 7-2. The host France not far behind, followed by Germany at 5s, and then England at 6s.
Yeah, 7-2. That's where my money's going. USA, mainly just because of their pedigree in this tournament, and also, they've got Alex Morgan up front, who's I think the favourite for the top goal scorer as well. But if you look at her record, 101 goals in 163 internationals. I mean, it's just phenomenal. So when you've got that sort of strike power up front, you're going to be sort of getting somewhere, I imagine.
We should be looking at over 2.5 for some of these games, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it should be a goal fest.
Phil, who are you plucking out for this one?
Yeah, I agree with Steve. It's hard to look past the USA, even though it would be funny to see them winning like a soccer tournament. But yeah, I think they will win this.
And Rick, have you had your pick here? You don't fancy 150 Scotland win here? 150-1.
And my eyes haven't ventured that down through the odds. Unfortunately, I've got a couple. I do think England are, a decent shout at 7-2 on them, and it was pretty solid. Probably, not going to score more than most teams in terms of overall, the firepower, but we do like, we keep it tight. I think we've only conceded 1 goal or less in 11 in 12 matches, so it's I think we're pretty tight at the back. And 7-1, I think, is a decent price, and also Brazil best price 40-1.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. I wondered that one.
Yeah, they've got one 6-time World Player of the Year, Marta, playing with them. They've got an experienced squad, and I think that's overpriced as well at 40-1.
Looks pretty wide open in places. Great, and we did mention the build for sure. There was the Copa America, but I think we all think that Brazil are pretty hard to beat given their squad. So unfortunately, we are going to skip over that slightly. We may come back to Copa America at some point if there's some bets, but I don't think it'll be too. Of all the tournaments this summer, we don't think there'll be too much on that one, do we? Really?
Yeah, you don't know. There will be some offers on there. How big and how many? Time will tell.
Cool. And then we did promise in the build-up we're going to look at a few transfers because you can bet on anything nowadays. The transfer market is such a hugely popular aspect of betting now for many people. And there's also something called the Football Index, which we'll touch on in a minute, which is popular with a couple of us. So looking ahead to the summer, guys, let's get your picks for transfers. I'll dive in first. I think Toby Alderweireld will join Man United. You can currently get 6-4 on him to join. I think once he's finished off winning the Champions League with Spurs on Saturday, he will announce he's moving to Man United for 25 million. There are a few others, obviously done and dusted. Eden Hazard, 1-25 to join Real, which we expect this weekend. But let's see what the guys are picking out here. Steve, we actually look at one transfer. What did you have a little look at?
Yeah, I think Leroy Sané is probably going to be on his way out of Man City, and most likely is a return to the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich sort of sniffing around. So that would be the obvious step for him to move to another sort of great club and try and get his regular football, because they're after replacing Arjen Robben and Ribery, who've just retired. So they're definitely after the pace and width of a player like Sané. So I think that one will be pretty much a shoo-in.
Yeah, well, it's 8-15 at the moment on that one, so it looks pretty well. Nothing's ever done deal in football, is it? But the bookies are convinced that one is happening. Phil, who did you have a look at in the market?
So Gareth Bale is odds on to leave Real Madrid. I think everybody knows he's not been happy there. Nobody seems to like him there for some reason. So he's odds on to leave there, but it's where he's going to go. Man United are currently the favourites, 77-5. But I quite fancy him to go back to Tottenham, actually, 5-2. Tottenham are in the Champions League final, a big club. They're going to have plenty of money to spend. I think he would be the perfect fit for them. So that's what I'm going to go for.
And loan deals do count for these, remember, guys. It's not who they're signing for by. It's not a matter of thing. So a loan deal like that one, you would get your money on Gareth Bale. Ricky, obviously, we're not expecting Liverpool to do too much. So where would you be casting your eye at the minute?
I think the one team to look at is Man United at the minute, given the end of the season they've had, and they're going to have to be making a couple of statements, I think, and splashing the cash. And on that basis, that Matthijs de Ligt, I know it's he's strong odds on for Barcelona at the minute, but his head may be turned with a very big offer from United. So I think it's 11-4 at the minute. So de Ligt to United possibly. Not that I want him to go there, but United are going to have to make some statements in the transfer window, and I think that might be one of them.
Would you not fancy him for you, boys, Rick? I think he'd be fantastic next to Van Dijk, wouldn't he?
I don't think we're splashing the cash at that level. When we've got, in my opinion, I think we've got Gomez, who I wouldn't want to stop the growth of. So splashing another 60, 70, 80 million on de Ligt to combine with Van Dijk, I don't think that's where the money's needed, personally. So I don't think we'll be splashing the cash at that level anyway, for any position in the summer.
Cool. That's great, guys. Obviously, we did mention the football index. Myself and Phil have dabbled in this one. And it's strange. There is a guide to this on OddsMonkey. It's not match betting, but there is opportunity here, isn't there, Phil? There's a free sign up on football index. Basically, it's a football stock exchange where you're dealing players to go up and down, and you can make some decent money. If you go to OddsMonkey, there is a free guide there, isn't there, Phil? And it's a 500 risk-free, isn't it, initially?
Yeah, it sounds a lot better than it is, £500 risk-free. But basically, what it means is you can go there, invest £500 in shares of players. And if you don't make any money, you make a loss, you can just email them at the end. Is it the first week or the first 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And they will just give you your £500 back, which you can then withdraw. So you might as well give this a go, because you might as well invest your money, and you might make some profit. If you don't make some profit, you're not gonna lose anything. You're not risking any money. Now I've done this. They gave me my money back really quickly because I ended up losing. The temptation is, once you get in there, is to start like trading, but you've really got to pick your players and sit on them for a while with this. It's like a slow burner.
Yeah, it really is a long-term thing, isn't it? I know we both did it at the same time, Phil, and one of us cashed out very early on Jadon Sancho, and one of us kept him and made a bit more money. So
yeah,
you can tell by the tone which one made money, which one didn't. But as well, there's been a few offers on the Phil's £1,000 for cash, up to cash back for the month of May. But obviously, we're talking about this coming from the transfers. Transfers have a major impact on this, don't they, on players' value and stuff, and what they're talked about. So that's why we were talking about the index. We won't go into too much detail. We'll do a separate podcast at some point on it. But if you are interested, guys, please go to the forum, have a look at the guides for everything. Ricky, Steve, and the boys are there with all the guides, all the daily offers, and any help you need is there. But before we go, again, just a quick reminder, this OddsMonkey Premium offer we've got. Anyone listening who isn't a premium member yet, go and check it out. You get a £1 for 10-day full access. Use the code PODOFFER, PODOFFER, and you can try it out for 10 days. That's full access. So once again, thanks to Steve, to Ricky, and to Phil. We'll be back again later next month with another podcast. But for now, safe betting.